Hello, and welcome to Oracle Storytelling. Hi, I'm Sarah of Sarah Wing Intuitive Arts. And hello, it is July. But whenever you stumble upon this, it's the right time, the best time, or the worst time, but in divine timing. So if this is your first time seeing one of these videos, I make Oracle storytelling videos. You can find different playlists of them if you enjoyed this or want to look at others in addition. I am also an intuitive artist, and you can find some of my art featured on my YouTube channel. You can find me under Sarah Wing Intuitive Arts on Instagram and also on Facebook and on my website, Sarah Wing Intuitive Arts. So, well, it is hot. And that's speaking to a lot of people right now if you're watching this, especially like in the Northern Hemisphere. It is hot. Hot. So I guess I'm wearing hot, bright hot lipstick. I've got this lovely quartz crystal. I like that it's smooth, but also has this nice natural roughness to it. Have a little gold here. Got this is a little astrological necklace. We all have every single one of the 12 signs in the zodiac in our chart. This to me looks like a little flying fairy. And this is a sign for Virgo. My sun is not in Virgo, but again, we all have these things in our chart. So I'm going to do some Oracle storytelling. It feels like I haven't done this in forever. I think I have just been going through so many different changes and transitions, perhaps like yourself. And, you know, a lot of them can be external, but most of the time the changes we go through are mental, physical, emotional changes, different spiritual things that happen, things we feel if we're more sensitive, that we go, or ways we feel, ways we observe. Sometimes you can be reacting in a way that's very normal to something that you're like, yeah, when this happens, I react this way. It could be a positive, negative, but maybe you've gone through things lately where you're more observant of how you're reacting, having kind of an expanded vision on things. Maybe you are having little downloads or insights, feeling a little more psychic. Maybe your body is, you're just feeling a little more in touch with your body, and its changes going through and living in hot climates, starting to realize how much you need to really understand and connect with your body, because your body is going to react and have certain needs that, in general, and we're going to start the Oracle storytelling just in case this is your first time. But your body is going to show you. It's like show and tell, right? Your body is going to show you. Your body is going to, especially with like these temperature changes, right? That are just going to keep coming at us, right? It really is, every time that we have this extreme weather, it's going to make us look inward a little, whether we like doing that or not, okay? The more we have these weather changes, the more psychologically it's going to test us, right? It's going to test us emotionally. It's going to test us physically. You know, are we there for ourselves enough psychologically? Are we there for ourselves enough emotionally? Are we there for ourselves enough physically? And these are things that all of us have to answer in life in general, but one thing is coming to mind as yet another heat wave is going, is these are things that our body is going to naturally force us to go inward and look at. And it's up to us if we choose to sit with that, look at it, realize that, yeah, we're all human beings, but at the same time, our bodies are very different. Okay? We have that, it's that old thing, no two people walk into the same room because we have a very different felt lived experience, right? Same thing for our bodies. Say there's like wildfire, okay? Now, I'm a highly sensitive group. If there's ever like, wildfires, it's like safe for this, affect sensitive groups. Like I'm always a highly sensitive. And I've lived in areas with wildfires for lots of years. And there are people who walk around on days where it's almost like a fog outside. And I'm indoors feeling like I have to put on a mask, and I'm just like, oh, or briefly, brief outlets outside in the world are just like killing my throat, killing my lungs, killing my eyes, very sensitive to it. Same thing with, these different kinds of weather. And it doesn't even have to be like the heat. I think about all these natural things like tornadoes. Well, psychologically, emotionally, how do we deal with things like that, How much do you look into this sense of being in the unknown, experiencing the unknown? How do you feel? How do you feel when, something so huge, Mother Nature, is just gonna kind of deem this area or that area? This all the idea of just not knowing, like having tornado watches go on when you never had tornado watches, or knowing tornadoes have touched down. That kind of awareness, Remember, we're all we all live on Mother Earth. We all share this earth. So this is something that, this is where we live. We are held in Mother Earth, okay? And if there's tornadoes, if there's extreme heat, if there's all these things going on, it's going to affect us. So I guess that this little amplification tool here is really just having me amplify that message of just be aware that it's possible that psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, there could be some things that are being triggered in you. Say like it's really hot and you're like, no, you're very upset and you think, I'm just getting hot-headed or whatever. Well, maybe the heat is putting pressure on you physically, and it's rerouting kind of mental energy that's keeping you from thinking about maybe things that are very uncomfortable for you to think about or you don't want to think about. And it's rerouting that mental energy that's kind of kept those things quiet into feeling and dealing with these, uncomfortable sensations in your body. And when you, kind of get hot-headed, maybe take a moment, or unexpectedly hot-headed, maybe take that moment to consider, have I been putting off something? Is there something that I've kind of buried in the background? Is there something that I've done for the millionth time that I did during super hot weather and I exploded? Maybe it's not the weather. Maybe it's that thing you're doing over and over. Maybe there's a thing that you're doing, you need to change the way you're doing it. You need to talk to somebody else involved in that situation. I'm just saying that this weather is going to make us confront things eventually. And if you're somebody that likes looking into yourself and integrating things that come up so you can kind of move into the next thing, especially emotionally, if you're dealing with a lot of heavy emotions, I like to deal with the emotion so I can move into the next one and the next one. And I just find personally that that helps me be more resilient. Resilient, not meaning that I don't go through things anymore, but that it takes less time for me to get back up. Not like I bounce off things like I'm fucking rubber. No. But just, it takes me less time to get back up from, integrate and reset. Okay, apparently I need to say all that. So I have a couple decks today, and I have the Goddess Tarot by Chris Walder and the Totem Guardians by Tanya Bond. And my charm bag. And I just, well, I haven't lifted up my charm bag in a while. A bunch of dust just flew up. So, if anybody's like, I see an orb, very cool. Unfortunately, that's just dust. But, and I have this lovely, nice quartz crystal. So, I'm gonna take a sip of some kukicha. I really like kukicha. Just put this here. All right, let's just start with charm. Holy moly. Lots of charms. Okay, so just keep in mind kind of what you're drawn to, because oh my gosh, lots of charms, you guys. We have Santa Claus. So Santa Claus, you can think of in a lot of, I mean, just some ideas. So Santa Claus, of course, like gifts incoming, right? Also, if you're a spiritual person, this may make you think of like spiritual Santa Claus, you know, like a naughty and nice list, and like only getting rewarded, you know, if you perform a certain way or don't perform a certain way, which is like kind of a trap there, right? Because none of us are perfect. We do our best, you know, or sometimes we don't, and maybe we would think others don't, but so Santa Claus kind of bring gifts, or kind of that spiritual Santa Claus, which again can be a trap, you know, thinking that, you know, there's the good and the bad, and we get punished or rewarded, just based on like you did this or you did that, and therefore you're good or bad. It's kind of a trap. Or again, maybe you're waiting for like incoming good news or something. Maybe you're like, oh, I really hope that thing, you know, I'm going to hear back about that. This could be just signaling to you like, ooh, a little gift, a little good news is on its way. Okay, then we have this clownfish. I know there was like that movie, but I didn't see that movie. So I guess just like, yeah, just, you know, swimming through a lot of stuff. This could be, you know, if it connects to you, it could just, you know, it's a bright colored fish. Maybe it just makes you think of like, oh, you know, it just makes me think of this one body of water, maybe the pool in your yard or something, that you're like, oh yeah, I really want to take a cool dip, or I really want to go back to that place where there was that water that I had such a positive experience in. Or maybe you're just kind of like, you feel like a little fish in an ocean. You feel like, hey, sometimes I feel overwhelmed. I feel like, where's the rest of my school of fish? But, you know, I keep swimming along, and maybe it's a message, just be like, hey, you got this, keep swimming, you know, and don't worry, you're going to make it to where you innately know you need to be, right? So many creatures on this earth just have that instinct, and we do too. We just innately know. We might not know where we're going to end up, but that's that inner innate knowing of like, okay, I'm going this way, you know? And there's always like, go with the flow. There's another one, right? Like, if we're always pushing against something, we could be pushing against something for decades, let's say. If you've been pushing against something for decades, if you try another direction. Ooh, the axe. The axe is so good. So, Maybe there's something that you feel has been blocked in your life, like, or every time you do it, you feel like, oh my God, like there's always something that comes up and blocks me, or you just feel like blocked every time you start to go down that path. Use this as a reminder of like a little tool, okay? So something's in your path and you feel like it's too big or too heavy to lift on your own. You feel like there's something blocking or many things blocking. Take this as a little sign of like, well, if I chop these things up, these things that, meaning if you, maybe you feel like I want to accomplish this one thing and you're just focused on the end game. And then you're also focused on the end and the beginning. And you're like, okay, I can do these things to start, but I can't do these two other big things. That chop up the big things. I can't remember her name, Carrie something, who writes about organization and clutter clearing and stuff. I remember the first time I heard the term stupid small steps. So use this little axe to chop up the things that you feel are like, again, especially if you're like, well, I want to accomplish this thing and I know the end, but the first thing I have to do is so big. Okay, chop it up. Chop, 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 chop. Chop it up into stupid small steps. Everything can be broken down into small steps. I promise. Like everything. 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 Think about you're making yourself a cup of tea. Okay, it isn't make the tea. It isn't pour the hot water. It's, okay, well, what do you have to do? Well, you have to go into the room. I'm saying break it down. This stupid small steps. Well, I have to get up and go into the room where the mugs are. Okay, I have to pick out a mug. Okay, then I have to pick out the tea I want. Okay, then I have to boil some water. Okay, and then I have to go back and make sure to take the kettle off. Okay, then I have to pour in the water. Okay. So something, I'm sure I named a couple things that you're like, wow, yeah, she really broke that down. Anything can be broken down to smaller steps. Then the last one, ooh, it's like a ladybug. And what's interesting about this, okay, there's 6 dots on this ladybug. 6 dots on this ladybug. And it's not just a ladybug, it's a ladybug whose wings are starting to open, which is really interesting. So if this connects with you, a ladybug with its wings starting to open, this is my interpretation. You interpret it how you like. If it resonates, cool. But what it makes me think of is when I see a ladybug, I'm like, ooh, right? And the first thing I do is want to count its spots. Now this is 6. 6 makes me think of a peak experience. That's what the number 6 makes me think of, amongst other things. And it makes me feel like a peak experience, but also like, ooh, like maybe something's opening up. And things can revolve around again and again, okay, and open up for you. But it makes me think of like this peak experience. Something's in front of you. Maybe it's a decision. Maybe something that's going to happen soon. And it's like, ooh, do I want to do that? Because you know how ladybug lands? At least for me, I'm like, ooh, I want to count how many spots. And then as soon as I get the number of spots, like it'll just like fly away. So it makes me think of like peak experiences, but also like something comes up. And maybe it's time sensitive. If you're feeling that pull, like this is a yes. If your body's kind of like, I want to do that. Maybe this is like a push to be like, go for it before that opportunity flies away. Again, I don't say that to be like scary. Opportunities cycle back around and around and around. Sometimes they look the same. Sometimes they come dressed a little different. All right, let's get a goddess card. Whew, I feel like I have not done a video in forever. And I'm talking way more than I thought I would. And we're just doing charms to have charms to guide you. So we have the Santa Claus, the fish, the clownfish, the axe, and the ladybug. That is so weird. Okay, you know, I just heard finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Which sounds so mean. It sounds so negative. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Okay, so maybe we have, this is a little like immature energy. Maybe a sibling. Maybe there's some sibling stuff going on. Mature energy, sibling stuff, envy. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. And it could be, maybe this is going to be about something that you do find and you have a decision to make if you are going to kind of share something. And it could be like a small thing, right? That doesn't have a big risk of sharing it. Maybe you'll choose to share it. Or maybe it's something where it's like, maybe it's something that's going to be found and the risk is very high to share it. And you have to make the decision, do I do this just for myself? What are we looking at? Wow. This kind of came out in reverse, so, but okay, this is a very blessed, beautiful card. This is the Three of Cups. Look at these ladies. And so this is the Maiden, Mother, and Crone. So all of the full life cycle, okay? Right? I mean, just take it as it resonates. But so the young, the mature, and the wise, like Maiden, Mother, Crone. This is 3 Cups. It's celebration. It's a reason to celebrate. So interesting. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. So maybe it is something that you're going to find. There's something to celebrate. Something that is coming in that's like a real big blessing, okay? Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Oh my God. It's just such a nasty thought to drop in my head. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. So, you know, if we're doing finders, keepers, I'm going to say something that is found is the value, like something beautiful, something that's so great that there's just like this push to like celebrate it in some way. Okay. And losers, weepers. And so maybe there's the balance of the celebration is, yeah, someone is left out. Someone is kind of losing out here. And again, we all make our individual choices. So let me read a little bit about what she writes. But finders, keepers, what is going on? Finders, keepers, losers, weepers? I'm sorry, that's just so negative, guys. Like, and I know maybe it makes you think of like silly things or maybe it's just, yeah, I don't know. In my mind just goes to like childish behavior is really what comes to me of like, oh God, I feel like that a lot of times outside of children, you know, like grown folk being childish, to me, that really just, I don't like the energy. I don't like the vibe. I think it can ruin celebrations. So maybe that's kind of it, is like, for me, if I was celebrating something and there was someone who is very emotionally immature, who would have a pity party if the party wasn't about them, yeah, I don't think I'd want to be around that person, you know? Let's see. 3 of Cups. So 3 women dance in a circle celebrating the, sorry guys, dance in a circle celebrating the round of life, Mother, Maiden, Crone. Together, these dancing women symbolize all of life's joys, potentials, and riches. Meaning a celebration involving women. Yay. We're involved in everything, okay? Everybody who's seeing this video was birthed by a woman, okay? A celebration involving women, possibly a wedding feast, peace between family generations, a reason to celebrate. So the reverse, and it came out kind of like this. So I'm going to read the reverse too. Overindulgence, too much celebration, time to get to work. So maybe that's also on balance, like it did come out like this, kind of balanced, to reinforce the idea of, you know, we can be finders, keepers, celebration, and end up being losers, weepers for sure if there is overindulgence, too much celebration, you know, just kind of getting swept up, lost in something. This, you know, right now we've got different planets in retrograde. We've got major planets that have recently shifted signs. Sometimes overindulgence means something stupid happening, like a dumb accident, you know. Not just like, oh, I ate too much, or I drank too much, or I whatever too much. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, I was having so much fun and I was being silly and goofy and I did some crazy dance move, or I did something like some stupid thing with your body, or you just were having fun, like partying at a place or something, and you don't know the layout and you just like misstep and twist your ankle, or do you know what I mean? And then it's like finders keepers. Yeah, I'm partying, I'm like having a good time, and then it's like, aw, losers weepers. So it could be like emotional immaturity, or it could be like a physical thing, like unbalanced, to be like, oh yes, this amazing stuff came in, I'm so excited, like this is so great, and then you're swept up in the greatness, and oh my God, I mean, who hasn't had that physically, where it's just like some stupid one move on a dance floor and your body's just like, nope. So maybe that's a reminder too, if you have like a fun occasion coming up, or you kind of are going to outdoor summer events, right? And there's music and stuff and you're dancing, just kind of watch your feet, watch where you're moving and grooving, so you can keep kind of dancing to the beat all summer long. All right, and now we're looking at so it's the Totem Guardians deck. There's such a strange thing to come to mind. Let me see if something else is going to drop in. Sometimes things drop in and I don't know if it's like a caught thought of mine or not. This is kind of like fire dance. Okay. Well, there's red in it, but we'll see. Fire dance. Fire dance, and then I was like, fire walk with me, and I was like, wait, am I forcing that? Fire dance, fire walk with me? So it says this 8 red-crowned crane. Family beliefs. So if when I was talking earlier, you know, this could be connected in the way of like, finders, keepers, losers, weepers. You know, if that was like kind of an immature energy, it could be like, you know, sibling energy, or like an emotionally immature family member or family members, or again, just like some sibling conflict or something. Red-crowned crane. I love birds, and I really do love cranes a lot. Family beliefs. God, is that a look? Do you see her look? I've had that look before. I've given that look before. All right, let's go ahead and read a little bit about that. Oh my God, the book is in the middle of the cards. How fun. Oh, I shuffled the deck with the book in it, which is something that apparently can be done. All right, the Red Crown Crane Totem invites us to look into our family programs, those ideas, beliefs, views, and expectations that we inherited from our long family line. We embrace many of these views, no questions asked. Let's pause there. You've inherited so many beliefs, no questions asked, meaning from the moment that you came into being, when you started within your family dynamics, you started absorbing and reorienting to the held beliefs. So if you grew up in trauma and dysfunction, like I did, and so many people, we are reoriented, and especially if you're a sensitive person, you're like the black sheep, the scapegoat, Lord, you have been told to reorient yourself most of the time. So we've inherited, you know, views and expectations from our family line. We embrace many of these views, no questions asked, at an age where we simply accepted everything that came from authority figures in our life. Yeah, if we can't survive, if we rely on someone for food and shelter, for direction, for making sure we learn how to read, tie your shoes, everything, we're not questioning, most likely, a lot of views. Maybe like me, you were a vocal kid, and unfairly, put in a situation where you were standing up for against behaviors. But I never once remember being like, that's not the right way to tie my shoes. Like, I wasn't like pushing back and questioning so many things, right? You just don't. Usually I find that like by the time you're in your 20s, hopefully you start to understand that like your family is not like every other family. Like, all families are different. And there's like weird beliefs that you just thought were normal, right? In your 20s, when you're like, not everybody knows that this is the right way to do that or the wrong way to do that. Sometimes it's very black and white, which is very restrictive. You know what I'm saying? Look through the prism of your higher self at these ideas on how you expect things should be. Consider what is manifesting in your life. Consider what is manifesting in your life in maybe a negative shape. Ask yourself if this is something that has been experienced by generations of your family tree over and over again. Maybe it's time to break this pattern. Noticing that it's kind of a stiff book, it's still new. Noticing that there are in fact patterns is the first step. Replacing them with more favorable beliefs and attitudes you choose consciously now is the second step of handling the issue. And just like with all other patterns, repetition is what will solidify those new expectations inside of you. While the old thinking might still occasionally manifest as an echo from the past, you will find yourself reacting less and less. So if you are like the sensitive, the scapegoat, you might also be the generational curse breaker. And to be a generational curse breaker, let me tell you something. What happens with that is you have to break the curses within your own patterns and cycles. So the things that, the patterns, the relationship patterns, all these dynamics, because everything is relationships in life, okay? Everything we do involves a relationship. Even if it's just with ourselves, it involves a relationship. So it's talking about, if you are that scapegoat, if you are that person, if you've given that look a lot, not saying something, being the bigger person, being in your higher self, like, right. You might also be the generational curse breaker, which, if you haven't heard that term before, it can sound pretty big, but it essentially means you're breaking the curses through your own lived experience, okay? You're breaking the cycles that you learned since you were a child, since you were a small child, right? And the relationship dynamics patterns that you learn as a child, of course, play out in your romantic, in your platonic, in your work, in your acquaintanceships, in the way you navigate the world, how you view the world, everything. And these are the types of patterns that are so obvious. It's ridiculous. It is seriously ridiculous. And so this is talking about, if you want to break generational curses, which if you are that scapegoat, if you are that black sheep, you've spent your life putting voice to the bullshit, which is so obvious. So when I say that the patterns that most people run their entire life are incredibly obvious, I mean they're incredibly obvious. And it can be done. You can shift out of these patterns. And if you are that seeker, and if you are determined to know yourself so you can be most aligned with feeling confident in your choices, right? Some people say align with your path. That's kind of very broad. But feeling confident in your choices, not necessarily because of how they show up externally, especially the choices that are more like private, that the world is not going to see. That's the ones that really matter to be confident in. If you think about this too, so now I'm just thinking about the family dynamic of this. So finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Let me tell you something. I definitely grew up with a lot of emotional immaturity and a lot of trauma, okay? And imagine, we want to be we want to be in a place where we're feeling more confident about our choices, because if we feel confident in choices, we're not going to be rethinking them. If we feel like something that we're choosing is a yes, we know it's a yes, versus, well, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure is a no, by the way. That's, if that helps you, it helped me, okay, at one point. Instead of like, yes is yes, no is no, well, maybe is also a no. Okay, if your body's like yes, that's a yes. If it's a maybe, my God, I could spend hours on maybe, days on maybe. But at one point, knowing that like, yes is a yes, maybe is also a no, was very helpful for me at one point. Because we want to feel confident. We want to feel like this with our choices, right? And we want to feel this like, bitch please, you know, when we know it's not right. And I'm going to repeat this. When it's a no, right? Just, and I feel like, especially societally, like, and especially if we've gone through a lot of trauma, like, we know what's a no. We're like, this is a no. That's a no, and we focus on the no. The maybe, especially if you're trying to figure out what's a good choice, what's a bad choice, and you're just feeling uncertain for a short period of time, long period of time, consider maybe as a no. I'll go further than that. If somebody asks you, hey, do you want to do this? And you don't think yes, and you don't think no, you go, oh, maybe, I don't know. Feel free to say no. Feel free to just take the lead and go no, instead of maybe. We can really get stuck in maybe. Now I'm speaking for myself and whoever else resonates with that. We can get stuck in maybe. Maybe can be something that we, again, ruminate on for hours. We take with us for days. We can take it for years. We can take maybe for a lifetime. Maybe it's also like one day. I don't know. But we definitely want to get to a place where we feel more confident. So that's one thing, is like, if we're feeling yes, it's a yes. And if it's a no or a maybe, feel good about just going no. The worst case scenario, let's say somebody's like, hey, do you want to da-da-da? And you're like, maybe. Which in general also is like, you feel that in your body. And maybe, you know, kind of like, maybe. I don't know, it makes me kind of be like, Yes is like yes. See how I'm like getting closer? No is like, no, stand my ground, boundaries. Maybe's like, I naturally like sink down. Which doesn't bode well in terms of like, does that make me feel really confident? And it's okay that maybe, when you go, maybe, no. You can assert a no to someone's question. Do you want to? You can, maybe, no. And later in life, somebody could ask you, hey, do you want to, I'm going to that thing again, do you want to go with me? And guess what? Stuff can change and you can go, yeah, I'd like to. For a myriad of reasons why it was a maybe last time, meaning no, and a myriad of reasons why it's yes this time. It's okay. Because in life, we're not always going to feel no or yes. So if that helps somebody, I'm glad. Maybe as a no. Maybe. And like, play with yourself a little bit, hearing those words. Say yes out loud, see how your body reacts. Say no out loud, see how your body reacts. Say maybe. Maybe always makes my body slump down. Which also like grounds me a little more, as in like plants me down a little more. Really doesn't make me want to get up and go. Maybe it's like, It's a very like, you really have to pull me out, talk me into it type energy, which usually we talk ourselves into, right? Interesting read today. Like I said, I feel like it's been forever. I think I'll just get another, no, I'll get another tarot. Let's see. Anything else just want to speak to me today? Any other message want to drop in? Oh, it was Fire Walk With Me. Interesting. There's like Fire, fire, fire. That card, I was interesting. I mean, it was a red. There was red in the crane. Fire, walk with me. I mean, fire does burn away things, I will say. I'm in terms of elements, I'm learning to really embrace my fire energy. Whether you think that is purely elemental, felt in the body, resonating with fire. I think as temperatures increase, having a more deeper, more balanced connection to the element of fire, or understanding, if you look at astrology, like getting more comfortable with the fire signs in your chart, and the placements of what areas of your life those fire signs are in. If you resonated with the card talking about being that generational curse breaker, being the black sheep, and you can look at your chart and just note, okay, what house are my fire signs in? What houses are those in? Those could give you a little guidance into the ways that you can assert yourself more. You can be that very empowered, empathic person. You can be that generational curse breaker. There's so many areas of our life, and maybe the fire signs, the fire signs in your chart, whatever houses those are in, could give good indications on a way to empower you to break these generational curses. And I'm talking about anything that you know is fucked up in your family, that your family protects the kind of trauma and the kind of abuse and fucked up shit. Those are the generational curse breakers I'm talking about. Breaking those curses. And if you're trying to do that, again, you can look at your chart in the areas that have the fire signs. Look at what houses those are in and think about, how can I break these cycles through these houses? Something to think about. I'm just going to take these because these jumped out. Okay, so we have the Chinese goddess Chang'o. She's related to the moon because I believe she gets placed on the moon. There's hair, so also bunny. And the Two of Pentacles, this beautiful, like, balance, this 8. The last card was an 8 as well. I'm just kind of figure 8ing here. Two of Pentacles, this balance, and contemplation. So these kind of automatically go hand in hand, because when you are thinking about even the word balance, just kind of makes me go into more like peaceful, contemplative state, right? This idea of balance, that we're all just constantly rebalancing, right? And sometimes we kind of feel very balanced. A lot of times I feel like that happens through our bodies, where when we're still or laying down, sometimes it's just at night, or when we're laying down, maybe we just have a moment where it's like physically we feel balanced. Maybe we toss and turn the rest of the night, but we have a good balance when we start out. Let me look up a little bit here. Okay, the Two of Pentacles. So the woman juggles 2 pentacles, completely focused on her act, right? Completely focused on her act. She does not drop the pentacles, meaning the ability to juggle several situations at once, job opportunities, grace and bounty, commerce and expansion. And then the reverse, I'm reading the reverse of everything, taking on too much time to concentrate on one thing at a time, master these before expanding. I'm going to take the reverse and expand on that a little bit, because I was talking about breaking things down into stupid small steps, and part of this is time to concentrate on one thing at a time, taking on too much. So sometimes it's both and, taking on too much, and even when we're concentrating on one thing at a time. Think of like a pie, okay, a circle, a pie chart. What if your focus on one thing took up 80% of your pie chart? Well, shit, that's a bit out of balance. So taking on one thing at a time, maybe you're like, but I feel like I'm doing that. Right. But if 80% of your time, attention, well-being, everything, spiritual focus is on one thing is 80%, still going to throw you off balance. That one thing at a time doesn't really work if the one thing is like, if you had a pie chart and it was like circle and everything's cut into like 16 even little slices. Okay, well then one thing at a time, right? Oh, okay, it's not too bad. But if one slice is 80% of that pie, it's like, oh, good. You know, one thing at a time is very different when the slice of what you're focusing on is manageable versus like this endless struggle. So I feel like saying that. So also, like, imagine if she was fully concentrating on balancing these two things, and imagine again that circle and that pie, and on one of her hands is like the 80% one thing, and the other slice is this. It's very hard. So imagine, even though it's like, well, her hands are like this, yeah, but that's still not balanced because there's a heavy weight on one side. It's like the teeter-totter. I just thought finders, keepers, losers, weepers again. This idea of the teeter-totter, right? One is up, one is down. Well, shit. If, you know, the person who's up, the light and load, right? That can feel good. But the one who's down might not know how to get up. They're like, hey, I want to go up now. But things are out of balance, right? So just a reminder too, it's like, cut things up into smaller slices of the pie. Stupid small steps. Smaller slices of this pie. Focusing on one thing at a time doesn't work if the thing you're focusing on is 80% of everything that you're giving to your life. Okay. And then contemplation. Let me read contemplation. Chang'e, this Chinese moon goddess. Chang'e. Chang'e. Sorry, I gotta pick this up. Chang'e. Okay. Chang'e, the Chinese moon goddess, was exiled to the moon because of her need to obtain divinity. With a white hare as her only companion, she spent much time alone contemplating life's mysteries. Meanings: the need to go within to gain knowledge, to own one's divinity. Withdrawal, to better contemplate life. Reversed is distracted by the world, refusal to listen to intuition, no time to think or reflect. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying at the beginning, when suddenly I was just ranting about weather changes, right? And it's going to affect us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. The idea to go within and gain knowledge from our own, knowledge to our own divinity, withdrawal to better contemplate life. We just have to do these things. As much as we think our minds is like ahead of the game, our body already fucking knows. Our body knows the score. Our body will shut fucking down. Our body, it's not just freak accidents like I was talking about before. Our body will shut down. Our body will shut down. I know that if I push myself too far one way or another, let's say just, you know, your body gets sick, right? You're not taking care of yourself. Your body gets sick. You're in bad habits of even like postures, way you're sitting, or you're sitting too much, or certain postures too much. So you get cramps, or you injure yourself from just like not enough movement, or you move your body too much and you're like, I will solve my life by running 20 miles a day, and you're not really recovering. You're just go, go, go. It's like stop, not paying attention. Go, 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 not paying attention. Our body will be like, yeah, fuck you. I don't know how many times I've got to give you warning signals. You're ignoring them. We're shutting down. We're getting injured. And especially with all these weather changes, again, psychologically, so mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, we are going to be asked more and more by our body to be aware, integrate, become more aware of things that need attention, meaning physically, meaning emotionally, meaning mentally, things we're keeping. We are going to be asked to do this, and it's important to actually acknowledge things happening in our body, acknowledge things happening mentally, acknowledge things happen emotionally. There are so many things mentally and physically that can happen when we ignore mystery illness, chronic illness. I know people that have ignored things and, I mean, almost died. You block out what life is doing to you mentally, emotionally, and physically. You can almost exile yourself out of this life. And it's so easy, especially if you're the sensitive one who is giving their all. You can lose touch with your own divinity. The fact that you are a divine creature and your body is your home. Okay, I think I'm going to end on that. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for anyone watching through this video. I love watching, I mean, I don't know. I like watching who I like watching. I watch long videos all the time, so I appreciate if you're somebody who also likes watching people who you like watching and watching long videos. If I like someone's content, I could watch them for hours. Like, I'm good. And just know how loved you are, beyond measure, beyond what you feel most of the time. Sometimes you feel it in different ways. I feel in different ways, and it's magnetic and emotional and magical, and I love it. But just know that all the time, divine love is there. Okay? Love is the thing. Love is real, real, real. So fucking real. You are incredibly loved. You're incredibly talented. I don't have to know you to know that. Everybody is multi-talented. Everyone is a genius at multiple things, okay? But just know you're very loved. And you deserve to know yourself. Know the beautiful person you are. And until next time.